History podcast. Welcome back to this episode, Jeremy Harlan. If you watched the Sunmancer episode, the second episode back, technically, even though it was the first one recorded.
Nice.
Uh, Jeremy, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Again, yeah, we got to talk about this another time when we're at a show together
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we talk about doing something and we're guys that actually do what they say they're going to do. So I'm glad this came to fruition again.
yeah. Still got your merch racks, by the way.
Oh, yeah, dude. Thanks for doing that. Hopefully we can send Kyle up your way. He's the closest to you, but yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for doing that, man. It's going to save us $100.
Oh, I know.
Did you have to
So
go back
what?
to the venue to get that?
Yeah, but I mean, I live like 4 blocks from the venue. It wasn't even that
Oh,
bad.
shit.
I
That's
just
a
got to ride
badass part
down
of
there.
town, too.
Yeah, no, it was super easy. I just got up before work and was like, "Hey, can we go grab these and bring them back here?" And that's what we did.
Nice. Nice. I appreciate it. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So what we're doing here, this is not like a normal podcast episode. I'm not interviewing Jeremy. I over the years of listening to the podcast, I don't that often, but I kind of want to get back into doing them. And what we're going to be doing is a best of the year so far of records release kind of episode. I hate going month to month because there's just too much fucking work to keep up with that. I figure 6 months you do your best of so far, and then end of the year you do your best of the year, and that's all that needs to be done. But you guys that do that month to month stuff, keep at it because it kind of helps me every now and then. So that's what we're doing today. Me and Jeremy are gonna go through our proverbial like best of, and then we're gonna have some just some records that we think are good that are like honorable mentions, and then like stuff we're looking forward to the rest of the year, and that's kind of that's what we're gonna do. So, well, I know we didn't really talk about this beforehand, but you just kind of want to trade off, right? Like I talk about one, you talk about one. That makes the most sense.
Yeah, sure. And if it's one that we both know about, like, yeah, let's just chat about it, man.
Yeah, it's a good
But
one.
yeah, I'll do it that way. You want to do best first, or you want to do some honorable mentions? Maybe best first, probably be
Yeah,
best,
yeah. I feel
I
like
guess.
people watching kind of like they want to know like what our best of is and all that stuff, and then we can kind of get into honorable mentions to keep them listening and watching.
For sure.
Be like, hey,
Yep.
let me find out about some more stuff that like you may not be aware of.
Right.
So yeah. And I will
Yeah.
say my best of is in no order what's well, I mean like I know what I've listened to the most, but
Same.
it's like it's so fucking hard to be like this record's better than this record because like that's not how I feel at all with my top, but it's just the stuff I've
Right.
listened to the most.
Yep. Yep. Same here, man.
Cool. Well shit, man, I'm gonna let you start it off. You're the guest. I want you
All right.
to get us going here.
All right, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna hit it with a banger here, coming off the rip.
Okay.
Job for a Cowboy, Moon Healer.
Okay.
Long awaited. I guess that's their first album since what, like 2015 or something,
Yeah,
when
man.
Sun Eater came out or
Almost
whatever.
10 years. Almost
Yeah,
10 years.
yeah. So, which is insane to think about. I didn't even think about like actually a decade ago that came out. Um, Getting old, man. Anyways, yeah. So waited a long time to hear from them again. I guess they haven't really been that active. Like, even I don't know how long they toured on Sun Eater, but they definitely had a long absence. And when they came out with the first song, it went ahead and blew me away. I think, what was the first one that came out? It was, let's see, I think it's the last song on the album, isn't it? Was it The Agony Seeping Storm? I think it came out in like or like August last year. So Forever Rot, I think, is okay. I think that's the second one they came out with. But
Okay.
anyways, the first one they came out with, Agony Seeping Storm, like, just, I don't know, when they changed to do more progressive stuff with the last album, I liked it, but I missed my Job for a Cowboy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm a huge fan of the album Genesis and Demonocracy and Ruination. Like, those are my favorites. Like, when I go back and listen to them, but when this one came out, that song in particular, it kind of rips into like this like Black Dahlia type riffing, which I didn't think they were going to go back to doing anything like that. I thought they were going to stay extremely progressive. And this record is progressive, but it's not so much like the last one. They brought me back with this one hardcore. What's some other good tracks on here. Sorry, my notes are getting all fucked up. Um,
And I just
here
looked
we
it up, but it has been exactly 10 years since Sun Eater came out in 2014.
2014. Damn.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, man.
that's
Wow. That's
fucking
insane.
crazy.
Well, it's also crazy that you can be gone for 10 years and come out with something that's badass still. You know?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, most of those dudes have stayed somewhat active. I mean, I know their drummer John Rice has been in like so many bands as like a touring drummer, and like that dude is a monster
yeah,
at drumming. So like he's like not stopped, in it. I don't
sure.
know much about what the guitar player's been doing, but I mean,
Me either. But I bet they've been working on something,
yeah,
you know. I think really it's just the vocalist he's the only original member. You know, I'm sure that he's the one that's probably like got everyone back together, or it probably was like his decision to get back. I don't know that. Maybe don't publish
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But let's see. Okay, there's a song on there called "The Sun Gave Me Ashes, So I Sought Out the Moon." Might be the coolest, maybe the best Job for a Cowboy song that I've ever heard them do.
Yeah.
It's got everything for them. It's a very progressive song, yet it's got, you know, the nasty ass vocals, crazy ass blast beats, crazy ass guitar solo. I really, really that's kind of the one when I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this is a good record. And I think
Yeah.
it kind of hits like almost halfway or like somewhere in the first half. But that was the one where it really woke my ass up. You know, I already was like, yeah, new Job for a Cowboy. But you know how it is. Sometimes like you get excited for like a new Meshuggah album or something. You're like, yeah, it's new Meshuggah day. But then like after you listen to it, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go back and listen to the other Meshuggah songs. At least that's how I feel. But this song in particular kind of made me think that this is a JFAC record that I'm gonna keep going back to. So far, it's been that way.
So I have this is going to be interesting. I have something to. I'm not the world's biggest Job for a Cowboy fan.
Really?
This isn't on my list. It's not even on my honorable
No
mentions.
shit.
Yeah,
Well, good. I'm
100%.
glad that I started with this one.
But I'm not saying it's a bad record because I did listen to it and I was like, damn, dude, they really like they knew they had to come back with something, like
Yep.
10 years later.
Yep.
Like, and I appreciated it, but like I listened to it and I was just kind of like, yeah, that's a Job for a Cowboy record, you know.
Sure, sure.
Um,
I urge you to go back and listen to it again.
yeah,
Um,
no,
'Cause it is sick
I
as fuck.
I definitely like this is why I like talking to people about music too, is because like sometimes like somebody can kind of shed some light on their favorite thing about it or like something that maybe you missed when listening to it.
Right.
And again, with like how much stuff that comes out, sometimes you do kind of have to just move on to the next thing or go back to that thing that you were enjoying more because it's like, well, shit, I know this is probably good, but like I'm enjoying this more right now, and like I'm just not feeling whatever is going on in this record.
Right.
Um, I don't think that it's a bad record. I don't think they're a bad band. They've
Yeah.
obviously cemented themselves in the genre to even be able to come back after 10 years like that. Like people could have just been who fucking cares, you know?
Yeah. But the thing with them is like, and they have such like an interesting like history to their career. It's like they were that first big like scene,
Hmm.
MySpace, viral. I mean, shit, that's like the first time metal like really went viral.
Yeah.
And they got a huge fan base. Everyone was talking about them. Everybody was listening to that EP. And then as soon as they get signed to Metal Blade, they come out with an album that is nothing like that.
Nope.
They went straight for death metal. And I remember everyone dropping off from them back then. All the guys that I knew in the scene back there, back in, what, like the mid 2000s or whatever, or like 2007.
Yeah,
Um,
that's about right.
when that album Genesis came out, like they lost a lot of fans. But
Yep.
guys like me who were genuinely interested in metal and were 16 years old and were still looking for the most disgusting thing that they could crank in their car, in public or whatever, I got into them even more when they started doing that. And then, like I said, like they had 3 records after that. I mean, it was Genesis, Ruination, Demonocracy, and then the Gloom EP
Yep.
were all just massive, massive death metal killers. And then they came out with Sun Eater, and like I said, they changed. And I normally really like progressive music, but there was just something about that album that, like you were just saying, like about some records that you listen to that you're like, okay, no, it's good, I appreciate it, but it's not what my brain is telling me to like put on when I get in the
Yeah.
car. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, interesting band, interesting history.
Yeah, and I think that, people like probably look back fondly on this record over the year, if I'm being honest. Like
I think so
I
too.
guarantee it'll be on a bunch of like end of year lists. There's no way it
Sure.
can't be.
If you get in a top
Um,
20 or something like that this year, and we're talking
yeah,
extreme metal, I mean, why wouldn't they be? You know?
yeah, yeah, and it was very long awaited too, man. Like, but
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, I only listened to it a couple times, so like my memory is very spotty on it. But I definitely like know there were some riffs where I was like, oh, huh, okay,
Hmm.
yeah, they're definitely going for it on this. But yeah,
Oh
man,
yeah.
that hard, I remember the hard turn from the EP to that first record, and like
Oh yeah.
I admittedly was one of those dudes who fell off. And it's not because I didn't like death metal, because I definitely did.
Yeah.
But I was so into deathcore and like deathcore bands at that time that like I was like, what the fuck? Like you
Where are the breakdowns?
can't be copying
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse already exists.
Right. Right.
You know. But I wasn't like as versed in like genre and like know that it's okay that a band can just fucking play death metal.
Yeah, exactly. And I was an idiot like that about other bands. You know, Acacia Strain like got to this point where I was
Ah,
like, oh, I don't like this tough guy shit that they're
yeah.
doing now. I remember like making fun of people that were listening to Continent when it came out. Now I
Uh-huh.
look back at Continent and it's like, you know, it's one of the heaviest records of all time.
Yeah.
And I love it, you know?
Yeah, 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 man. I've been a fan of Acacia Strain for fucking ever. Like they're just one of those bands that I mean there was a certain period there where like I kind of fell off and I was like, I don't really like what they're doing with this. But then I went back and revisited those records and I was like, shit, I was wrong.
That's
Oh, they're all
exactly what I
good.
did. Yep. That's
But
exactly what I did.
yeah, it was all those records where DL left. I was like,
Yep.
ah man, DL's not in the band. Like I don't really give a shit. Like no,
Right.
there's some good stuff on those records. And if I can like give it a chance, I would have missed like
Oh
all
yeah.
that music.
Yep. I agree with you, man. All right, let's head to the next one.
Yeah,
What you
so
got?
my first one, it's gonna be a weird juxtaposition here, man. And it
Here we go.
came out. So honestly, my opinion on this record could change. Um, but it came out like 10 days ago.
Okay.
Crypt Sermon, The Stygian Rose.
I've never heard of it, but let's hear it, man. What you got?
Dude. Okay, so they're like a kind of like old, not old school, but they play like doom metal, sort of like that early era 80s doom metal. But
Hmm.
my God, do they shred on guitar and have fucking harmonies and like sick ass guitar riffs. Like the musicianship is indelible. Like it's fucking there. And it doesn't sound like something in 70s, 80s in like that
Hmm.
sense of like how good they are musicians, but it's just the way they write the songs and it's like that old school like Ozzy kind of vocal style in a
Sure.
way. Um but man, I used to this is you're gonna see this a lot in my list. It's not really be into this band like at all. Their last couple albums that came out, I was like, yeah, this is fine. Like, it's like, just that old school doom metal shit. Um, but
Sure.
man, I don't know what it is with this record, but like the way that they just like shred so hard on some of these songs and like just the melodies, I was like immediately sucked in that like whatever I didn't like the last time I listened to them like was not there. Especially for this
Yeah.
record.
And dude, when you said that, like they're doom metal, and then you said they're shredding and harmonies and all that, I'm like,
Right.
my ears perked up a little bit. I'm like, damn, I gotta check this shit out. Because that's the one thing
Yeah,
that doom metal kind of is missing. Like, you know,
I agree. Like some of it is very basic. Like they still have those like, little like just riffs where they're just, just doing some chords and all that kind of stuff, getting that little
sure.
chuggy like Tony Iommi shit. But
Which I
I
love. Yeah.
mean, yeah, yeah, no, the way they like do that for their rhythm stuff and then have like some dude doing like or they're doing like the harmonies or like the little quick solo over it, man. I was not expecting that at all.
Nice.
And it
Nice.
just came out, so like I said, it's a little fresh for me. Like it came out 10 days ago, so I've still been kind of like dissecting it a little bit more. The vocals are still kind of hit or miss for me. Like I'm not super into what they're doing vocally, but man, the musicianship on that record is what got me where I was like, fuck, this is good. And now it's kind of making me want to go back and like listen to their old stuff and be like, what did I miss last time? When I was like, I'm not really like into this. Um,
Dude, and that's a
man,
testament to any good record. And like even one that you heard 10 days ago for the first time. It's like when somebody puts out something new and you want to revisit their catalog, and it makes you rethink your opinion about the band,
yeah.
that's a successful album.
Yeah, and I will say too is like even though I wasn't into like what they did last, I still took the time to check it out because I was like, well, I want to know like what they're doing. Like, does it sound different? Like, what's going on here? And like being pleasantly surprised like that, I was just like, well, fuck. This is why you can't write any band off. You never know
That's
what
right.
they're gonna do next, man.
That's right.
So
Hell yeah.
that's my first pick, and they're fucking awesome on there. It literally looks like a cemetery, and man, I saw the vinyl of it, and it's got like this red foiling for the
Oh
logo and
shit.
stuff. It's pretty
Nice.
badass.
Hell yeah. Nah, dude, that sounds sick.
So, what is your next pick?
Um, Night Versus. You familiar with them?
No, no, I'm not.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll keep it quick, but this is a really good record. So Night Versus, Every Sound Has a Color in the Valley of Night is the name of the record. But
Damn, that sounds badass.
yeah. So they're they're a progressive metal instrumental band, three piece.
Okay,
Um, which I never really paid attention to them before. This is another one of those. I
yeah,
never really paid attention to them before. People were sending them to me and other guitar players because they got insane musicianship. All three guys in the band. Um, but in a world where Tosin Abasi and Polyphia guys like exist, it's kind of hard to like break through the noise as a progressive instrumental band.
yep.
These guys killed it with this record though. It what kind of caught me first is, like I said, my friends were sending me the songs on the new one, and I would check them out, maybe like for 2 minutes or whatever, and skip on to the next thing or whatever. But I saw them on Instagram. I think another guitar player had posted it or something. But a lot of their content is just the three guys in a room, and he's got the giant pedal board. I mean, with 1,000 pedals. A lot of the stuff he does, and what's so impressive about it is like what he's able to do with all these different effects while he's playing.
Hmm.
But it's just the three of them jamming, and they're unbelievably tight. And you can single out any, and the guitar player shreds like crazy, amazing, like kind of jazz progressive chords with all these cool effects coming in, and he'll kind of, flawlessly just like melt into a lead, that really carries the melody. Gets really fucking heavy a lot, down tuned 7 string guitars. Um, and then the drummer is just, he's on another level, man. He's one of those guys like we were talking about, not the same style as John from Job for a Cowboy, but someone who literally is top tier in the business.
So Night Versus, you said, huh?
Yep. Yeah. Check out their new record. You'll dig it. I'll tell you a couple of good songs on there. The opening track, Eight Gates of Pleasure. It's a long one, but it's fucking badass. And that'll
I
kind of
am
give you
here.
an idea of what they're gonna do. Um, the next one, Arrival, another killer. And then the single that they have on there, I think it was the first single that came out where they got music video and everything, is called Karma Wheel. You definitely got to check that shit out. They have
Okay,
these like earworm melodies that come in, and it's, I know I mentioned like Polyphia and Animals as leaders, like because you kind of have to put them there, like for being
sure.
instrumental. Um, but they're not like that. You're not gonna go, oh, this makes me want to go listen to Polyphia. You're definitely not gonna say that, and you're definitely not gonna say like, they're just doing what Tosin Abasi does, and Animals as leaders. Like, it's not the case. Um, Real original sound, really badass shit. Definitely check that one out.
Which that's pretty rare for being like an instrumental band in the metal scene these days, like having that like kind of original sound. Because yeah, there was a while there, man, where everybody was trying to do that Animals as Leaders thing. Like
Yep.
there's so many bands just starting up and just, which is cool, man, because it showed we have a lot of talented guitar players in the metal scene.
Oh yeah.
And
Everyone's up their game since guys like that came out for sure.
yeah, yeah, and it was interesting because like there's some of those bands that I was like, well, I mean, like you guys could put vocals to this shit, like you could, but
And I would
they
prefer that, but I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm not like, when a band's that good, I will
yeah.
listen. I will get into a record like that and listen to it over and over and over. You know, like this one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I've heard like a good instrumental album, so I definitely tangent here. There's this band
Go for
called
it.
Vitalism. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
No,
he's like an instrumentalist, like just one dude that does all the shit himself, and like he's like very gent heavy, but like shred heavy too, and like
sure.
yeah, Vitalism. Yeah, they just put an EP this year, and like my buddy kept telling me listen to it, and I forgot all about it until you mentioned that, and I was like, fuck, there's a band that is in that same vein that I should probably check out. But now I got two I can check out.
There you go, man. Yeah, yeah. Maybe you just get in the mood for some instrumental shit here soon.
Yeah, no, it's usually what I put on when I'm doing like podcast work and shit, just because I have to do a lot
Sure.
of writing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't want words like fucking up your focus or
No,
whatever.
no, no,
All right, dude. Well, yeah, your turn.
no. Let's say, what do I got? Okay, yeah, man. Full of Hell, Coagulated Bliss. I mean,
Okay, I know the band, but hadn't checked out the record.
dude, this band never misses for me. I mean, they're just like fucking chaos. I mean, it's grindcore. It's also not grindcore. Like they have these weird melodic, like I don't even know how to describe some of the stuff they do sometimes, especially like their past few records. They've done songs where like there's literally, like the cleanest guitar tone you can get on a
Mhm.
song, but with like the most savage, high pitched vocals, just like
Oh yeah.
sounding like somebody's dying almost.
Hell yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. Like I don't know, man. The way they kind of like juxtapose their sound of like the visceral versus like the clean and melodic, and switching that up with like vocally and the guitar stuff doing like gnarly ass shit and the vocals doing like clean shit. I don't know, it just works. They have such a unique style, and like they can write like an 11-minute song, or they can write like a 1 minute and 45-second song, and like that
Right.
they do stuff. And I've always and maybe this is a little bit of like recency bias, but like I had their vocalist on my podcast like years ago.
Nice.
Um and this is before like, I mean, they put out like 2 or 3 records, 4 records since then. I don't know.
They've
But
been
like
around
they're
for a while now. Yeah.
yeah, man, they're always working. That's the other thing too, is like they just
I've
like
seen them live
don't
before.
stop.
Yeah. I have a couple friends that are really into them. But what I remember from them is like they're one of those bands that like you said, you can have like an 11-minute song, and a lot of it can be chaos, but you might find like these diamonds in it where you're like, this is the part I go back. Like this is the part that makes me listen to this 11-minute song every time. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, because the way they like write the song is like having that moment of just like, all right, here's where we're gonna have like the rhythm parts, or like just go into like a clean, nice, soft thing, and then like go back into that chaos without you even like realizing that's what's
Oh
coming.
yeah.
Like, man, I've always been super impressed with them, and like this album's no different, man. They've for past few years, like all their shit's always been on like my end, and like some of my favorite shit. Like I don't know, I'm like also attracted to that like aspect of metal, like that
Sure.
just like it works for me up here. So that's
Yeah, and that's
my
a style that I haven't revisited in a while, but I definitely have records in my past that I really enjoyed that are just kind of like what you're describing. So, and they're
yeah.
a band that I've like I said, I've seen them live. I thought they were good, but I just never really dug into the discography. I'll definitely be checking that one out uh after this.
Yeah, I mean, Converge and Dillinger are like 2 of my favorite bands. So I mean,
Oh
that
yeah,
says
I'm a
everything about
big
me
Dillinger fan too.
right
Yeah. Oh
there.
yeah. And that's exactly the kind of band that I was just describing. Like they can have all this chaotic, crazy shit, and if you're not trained to listen to this stuff, like you just want to turn it off as fast as you can. If you
Yeah.
let the song go long enough, you're gonna get like some really, really, really fucking good music that they're hiding from you almost. You know what I mean?
Oh, I
Like
never
they
thought
don't
about
they
it
don't
that way.
want they don't want the normies to hear like how good they are at being melodic. You know what I'm saying? So they're just gonna like put all this shit around it to get them to fucking tune it out and leave. You know?
No, that's a good point, man. I'd never thought about it that way. Like just really taking a chance of like, well, like, yeah, the average person is gonna stop listening here, and this is where we take it and go here for the people
Yep.
that give a shit about us, and
Yep.
that's what, that
People that are
delineation
willing
of
to
like,
dig. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it also makes you wonder too, like when a band's writing a song like that, how much of it is like their conscious, like this is what we want to write versus like here's what we want to write, but also thinking about the people that like really like what we write, and like giving them something to like really kind of dissect and munch on of like, yeah, this is what this band's capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that happens a lot. And then I'm sure there's a lot of times where there's guys just saying, fuck it, I write crazy shit.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was my next pick. Where's yours at?
All right. I'm gonna go with one of my favorite bands. Relatively new, been out for a little while now, but as far as this iteration of the band and having vocals used to be an instrumental band, I'm talking about Alluvial, the new EP "Death Is But a
Hmm.
Door." for if anybody wants to get mad at me, I know that a lot of these songs came out last year, but the actual album came out like I want to say like the first week of January this year.
Yeah.
Or the actual EP. Uh, have you listened to this one?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, I haven't listened to the EP. I'm sorry. I probably listened to it when the songs came out last year.
Yeah, and so they had an album that came out in 2021 called Sarcoma that was, extremely, extremely good. And I
Yeah.
immediately latched onto that shit when I heard it. Guitar player Wes Hauck's one of the best in the world. One of my absolute all-time favorite guitar players. Super nice guy too. I've gotten to meet him like 6 or 7 times at this point. But
Yeah.
anyway, all that aside, and that does not make me biased for this. Like this record is an absolute like beat you in the face the whole time until you get to the end. It's only 4 songs, but I mean, like the first one, it just starts with some super fast shit blasting, and then ends with, one of the heaviest breakdowns you ever heard in your life. Goes right into a song that like he uses this like whammy pedal to get this note like to go behind the riff that it sounds like a fucking horror movie.
Hmm.
It's just like one of those things that you would hear in like a classic like 80s horror film, like a reoccurring, screech sound or something, you know what I mean?
Oh my God.
Um,
Just like that real dissonant, like kind of note.
yeah, and saw them live on Saturday, and I've seen them live probably, I think that was like my 5th time seeing them live, something like that.
Damn.
Um, the cleanest set I've ever seen them play, and they're incredible always. But I was watching Wes like a hawk, and they were the first band. So, you show up, you're completely sober, hadn't had a beer, nothing, and I'm up there. Like I said, he's one of my favorite guitar players. I'm glued to what he's doing, and every time, like whether it's like talking about his tone or like his solos or whatever, I look back at my buddies who play guitar and just be like, just pointing up there, like, you see that shit? And they're like, oh my God, he's a true living guitar hero. I think with Alluvial being so new, they've still got like a ways before I think people really start recognizing that. But anybody like in the industry who plays metal guitar knows who he is, and they're probably nervous to play in front of him.
Yeah, he's like kind of like done like gig work for a lot of like before
Right.
Alluvial kind of started because I him when he was playing for the Faceless.
Yep. Yeah, he was on
When
that
we
autotheism record.
yeah, dude. And when we did our Summer Slaughter tour, he was like still touring with them and like I mean every night like he would no offense, he would run circles around Michael Keane. So,
Well, dude,
you know, even
in
though he's
Michael
playing
King's
the stuff
defense,
Michael wrote,
oh
but
yeah, but in Michael's defense, he's going to do that to everybody. You
yeah.
know, it.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I will say though, and I don't want to bring up another band that was on this tour, the Livial, but there was a lot of fucking badass guitar playing on Saturday night.
Yep.
So I don't want to take anything away from those guys. Wes's style is probably my favorite. He's got that. And I'm sure this annoys him, like how much people say this, but like he has that dime bag like twang to his not just his tone, but his fingers, man. Like
Yeah.
there's certain guys you don't think that you'll hear someone replicate their sound, and Dimebag Darrell's one of them. And Wes is the only guy I've ever heard that I go, oh, he can sound like Dime if he wants to, and he busts it out all the time. And,
Oh
it's
man.
definitely, you can tell it's one of his big influences, but he does a lot of other shit that, if Dimebag Darrell was alive, would be like, whoa, I can't do that shit. I can't touch that, so he's that guy for real. Anyways, yeah, Death is But a Door, fantastic EP, quick listen. And then want to mention this too before we move on
Mhm.
from it. The last song, the title track, Death is But a Door, is a slow one. And god damn, it's good, dude. It's very dark, and I know I brought up like the horror theme that they have in one of the other songs, but it's like they really do have this like just reminds you of watching like those classic like 80s 90s like horrors or whatever. Fantastic band, fantastic record. Go
Damn,
check it out.
I wonder if that's like on purpose. Like if that's like what they're going for with that horror vibe. Because I
It
love
might
that
be.
shit. I mean,
Well, dude, the last 2 tours they were on, I went out and saw them, and I bought merch, and I didn't realize it at the time, but like each one of them was it was like it was the tour shirt both times, with all the dates on it and shit.
yeah.
Uh, but it had the back of it is meant to look like the back of like a 70 or like from an 80s horror VHS.
Oh fuck.
I'll send you a picture of it when we get off. But
Yeah.
I bought one for my wife this time, and I realized I'm like, holy shit, this one does it too. It's like the one I bought for her is it looks like the back of The Exorcist. And you know, if you're looking at the back of a VHS and it'll say like R rated down here, and then it'll have all the credits like producers and stuff.
Yeah.
So where it would have all those credits is all the tour dates. So it looks like it's the perfect layout for if you're looking at horror movies at Blockbuster.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I want to say either I saw it on their Instagram page or like maybe you posted a picture of a shirt, but I saw the one that had the Exorcist thing on it. I was like,
you
damn,
saw
that's
mine
pretty
then,
sick.
yeah. Because
Okay, yeah.
I normally after I go to a show at this point, like when I go to especially like playing in a band now and like actually having gone on tour, like when I like a band, I make sure I buy a shirt
Yeah.
just because I know like how far that goes for them. And so, you know, now I'm buying like at least 2, 3 shirts every show that I go to. But I'm always trying to like post the next day, like here's the haul.
Yeah, there's man. I think like obviously not every band can like put a ton of work into the merch, but like when a band takes that little extra step to
Yep.
where they're like, hey, we want this stylized kind of thing into the merch, like I fucking love that shit.
Hell yeah, me too, dude. All right, next up, what you got?
Well, I want to say one more thing about Wes.
Sure. Oh, hell
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
We can
No,
talk
that
about Wes all
dude,
night if you want.
yeah, no, seriously, he his guitar playing is like, I mean, for lack of a better word, stupid. Because like
Yeah.
I've been following him for a long time, and like every time he's like put something out, I've just been like, what the fuck,
Yeah, it makes you want
like
to quit playing, dude.
yeah, yeah. It's just like he's mastered. I know he would probably say like, no, 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 I'm not that good, very humble dude,
Yeah,
but like,
exactly.
man, yeah, it's insane watching him play. Like he is fucking incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, you know that every guitar player in that crowd, which, you know, could be hundreds of them. We're talking about metal here, you know, it's
Yeah,
like I bet you none of them go, I could do that. Oh, I
yeah,
could
no,
do that. You know, I'm sure there's bands that you see, you go, oh, I could do that. This guy ain't that
yeah,
good. You know, whatever. I don't think anybody fucking says that about him.
no, no. I'd be like, well, I'm never gonna do that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And dude, I've learned some of his stuff. I bought the alluvial sarcoma tabs a couple years ago when they came out.
Oh wow,
And you know, you can pull them up on Guitar Pro and slow them down, and I slow them way the fuck down. But I learned a couple songs, and I learned 2 of his solos. They don't sound like him when I play them. I mean, with some more practice, it'll sound more like it. But it's truly like when you break it down, like the way that he writes, and the way that he moves about, um, playing different modes for different chords and stuff. Like it's really clever shit, and it's not just look how fast I can play.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Understanding of like guitar theory a little bit more than most people too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No,
Yeah,
I mean he probably I don't think he thinks about guitar theory because he knows it so well. You know what I mean?
man.
It's like someone who knows how to speak Spanish and also speaks English. Like they don't think about that shit. They just do it. They just go.
Yeah,
You know, he's like that.
yeah. No, he's a monster, man. Like I hope that more eyes on Alluvial and like whatever he does, like just yeah. If you're listening to this and you don't know Wes, like just fucking stop listening to us. Go check him out. Watch all his YouTube videos and like his bands, like because
And then
man,
sell your guitar because that's
ugh.
what you're gonna want to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's always a funny thing about like when you see somebody that's better than you, you're like, man, why do I even like play guitar? Like I'm so bad at it.
Dude, that happened to me. Just a quick side note. You can cut this out if you want to, but when I went to music school, I went to Atlanta Institute of Music back when I was
Mhm.
like 20, and you know, I was a 20-year-old dumbass, cocky kid. And as soon as I picked up a guitar, I was like the best guy in the neighborhood because I could like learn Metallica really fast. And but I was being told everywhere I went that I was, you know, one of the best guitar players that they'd ever met, you know, and we're talking about just regular folks, right?
Yeah.
Um, when I showed up at music school, we had like a little sample class, like during orientation, where you bring your guitar into the classroom and there's a guy, an instructor at the front who's going to kind of show you what like one of the classes looks like. So this guy, the teacher, his name was Carl Culpepper, and I'd never seen him before, never heard of him or anything. I walk in and I'm going to set my guitar down. A bunch of kids are walking in. This is like orientation. A lot of these kids won't make it past the first like 2 months or whatever.
Wow.
But yeah, and I mean those classes get smaller and smaller and smaller as you go, just because people realize like how much it takes. to get to that level. But anyways, this guy, Carl Culpepper's playing some random obscure Eddie Van Halen solo, like off like a deep cut, like probably one from like the Sammy Hagar days, like the
Mhm.
seventh track on the album that if you weren't like a hardcore Van Halen fan, you wouldn't know. And I'm a Van Halen fan, but I didn't know what it was, but I knew it was Eddie Van Halen because
Yeah.
he played it so fucking perfect. It sounded exactly like him. It's just like what I was saying about Wes and the Dimebag shit. There's a video out there of him playing like Pantera covers, just like trying to match his tone or whatever. And you go,
Uh-huh.
holy shit, that sounds exactly like him. And no one else can do that. That's how this guy was with Eddie Van Halen. But when I heard that, and it was so fucking good that I honestly had the thought maybe guitar playing's not for me. Like maybe I should just put it down now. So I make that joke all the time, like it'll make you want to quit playing guitar. I had that moment. Thank God I didn't do that. And that guy ended up being my private teacher for a while. And I told him that story, and he was like, "What, dude? Come on, what are you talking about? You're already a great guitar player." And it's like, no, dude, I'm not like you, you know. And I probably never could be. But the truth is you put enough time into it, you could. I wouldn't be him. I'd be
Yeah.
my version of that. But still, it takes an unbelievable amount of focus and understanding about playing to get to that level. And both those guys I just talked about, Wes and Carl Culpepper, they have that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like mediocre at best. So
I hear
that's
you,
where
dude.
I'm
I
at.
look at my shit all the time and I'm like, I might be able to impress some people, but like a real motherfucker looks at this, he's gonna laugh at me. You
Yeah.
know?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's part of songwriting though.
It
And
is.
again, like I said, everybody's their own worst critic too. But
Very true. Very
I
true.
know my limitations.
Yeah, me
Do
too, man.
yeah, man. So my next one, the band Ulcerate, Cutting the Throat of God.
I
I
have listened
mean,
to a little bit of this one. Yeah, not one that I've had enough time to really dig into, but this is one that friends of mine keep sending to me the last couple weeks.
yeah, I've been waiting for this record for a while. They're one of those bands that just like they take their time with what they put out and how long it comes out. And man, this might be the most like I don't know. It's not as dissonant as like their other stuff. It's still
Mhm.
there, but like man, they put so much more weird like clean guitar work into their
Yeah, I
music that
noticed the
like
same thing. Yep.
it's crazy and it still sounds like heavy and good and I'm just like man, how the fuck did they pull that off making a clean guitar
Yeah.
tone sound metal?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes it's hard to like throw clean guitars into an extreme record like that and not make it sound like genre changing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, so I was like pleasantly surprised. That first single they put out, like that was the one where I was like, "Oh wow, this is not what I was expecting at all."
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole record's pretty it's I mean, it sounds like that first song, but like how do I put it? Like it doesn't all sound the same, but those elements are still there in like other songs where they kind of like go through that like dissonant stuff and then cut to just like these clean ass guitars. But that the drums are still fucking like blasting and the vocals are
Yep.
still like brutal as shit. And it's just like,
Yep.
how the fuck? Like,
Yeah. It's not that they sound the same in the songs that I've heard from it. It's like there's certainly a theme with what they're going
yes,
with. You know what I mean?
yes.
They set you up with the kind of the layout of how they're going to be doing their songs or whatever. And so it's like you're going to keep getting that, but not in a way that it's like repetitive or monotonous.
Yeah. I was really, I haven't like looked too much into it, but the way that they've been like presenting the record is that these songs are meant to be like one giant song, but they kind of
Okay,
had
I
to
didn't
split
realize
it up
that.
into parts. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a
Okay,
triptych kind of deal that they've been doing. And they're like, yeah, this song is technically part one, is part two, part three, but it's all supposed to be one song. But for the
got you.
brevity of
I've been
it, like
listening
we had
to
to
it the
split
wrong
it
way,
up.
anyways. Yeah, it's like I want to say that I've had like 2 or 3 songs sent to me, and I've listened to them all separately, and
Yeah.
have no idea what order they're supposed to be in.
I mean, doesn't matter. Still good,
It
man.
doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. I still enjoyed it for sure, but yeah, it's a record that I need to dive into a little bit more. It's on my like Spotify. Like when you pull up, it'll show you like the last like eight bands you keep going to or whatever. It's like that's
Yeah.
one that's on my list there.
Yeah, I'm trying to truncate these a little bit because I realize we've been taking so much time, which is not a bad thing, like talking about all these,
No,
but
I was thinking the same thing.
yeah, so that's my next pick, Ulcerate. Jeremy, what's your next pick?
All right, let's get into one that I know that we both have listened to.
Okay. So that means I probably won't have to talk about it
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't have much after my list as far as like like really good ones that I loved. But here we go, man. Aborted Vault of
Mhm.
Horrors.
Yep.
Um, fucking. I mean, it's an onslaught, man. The whole time. First song, Dreadbringers. I guess that was like the second single that came out with the guy from Shadow of Intent on it.
Yes.
Um, I mean, just like the intro, another band that's doing this like horror theme and grabs me with that shit. Um, Great way to start the record. Um, the drums, just the blasting at the incredible speed that they're doing. It's the whole time. It's the whole record. And they're a band that I saw on Saturday that I was kind of interested in on how they were going to do some of the new songs. Because you know every song on this album has a guest on it, right?
Yep.
Um, so I was like, okay, are they going to be able to do that? So one of them, I forget which one it was, they had the singer from Carcosa who was an opener in the show, come out and do vocals with them, which was cool. The
So
rest
that
of
worked
them,
out.
yeah, the rest of them he did on his own, you
Damn.
know. Um, and like when they played Death Cult, the one with Despised Icon on it, no drop off, man. No drop off. It fucking hit hard. That was such an amazing show Saturday night, and it was a awesome lineup. It was the Archspire Everything is Fucked tour,
Yep.
and it was Luvial's the opener, then Carcosa, then Aborted, and then Archspire. So it was an absolutely insane lineup. You know, my favorite band there walking in was Alluvial. You know, I told you this is like the fifth time I've seen them, and they were great. Uh, but you know, they had a little bit of that like opening band syndrome, and nothing to do with them or how they performed or anything like that, but just about like people coming in, you know, cold and not, you know, not warmed up, not liquored up.
Yep.
Maybe not everybody's there yet. So Aborted was the third band, and when they came out, man, it was an immediate energy change. Like
Yeah.
everyone was going nuts. All of a sudden, you started seeing the crowd surfing and shit, and the pit was just nonstop action. My wife and my sister-in-law were there, and they came to see Alluvial, and they were open to checking out the other bands. But dude, when Aborted was on, they were going fucking nuts, and I mean, it was everybody. They stole the show Saturday night, and all the bands were great. I told you how great Alluvial was. Archspire was also incredible show. But Aborted stole the show. When I knew that this episode was coming up, they're probably my most listened to like album so far this year. Uh, Absolutely killer fucking record.
Yeah. Again, like I was saying about Full Hell earlier, this is on both of our lists, by the way. So I'll go ahead and get mine, my little thoughts out of the way. But like,
Yeah,
this
go
is
for it.
another band that doesn't miss. Like that,
Yep.
everything they put out so consistent and so good. And even losing Mendel, guitar player, like I thought,
Yep.
well, they're not going to be, let's see what happens. But fucking didn't miss a beat, dude.
Nope.
Like
Nope.
insane. And having this thing where they like brought on guest people for each song, and like that's so brilliant. And it's such a like good mix of like deathcore and metal, and like even I know a lot of people probably don't know Cruciatos. He's in this band Engulf. They're like a sick ass death metal band, but they're not like super well known. And I was like, holy shit, they got Hal on here. Like that's fucking
Yeah.
incredible. So I mean, like they know that like they have that broad all these genres and bands, and like I mean, they're just too good, man. How
They're
they
one of
fucking do
those.
it.
They're one of those like death metal bands that's like no matter what like subgenre of like extreme metal you listen to, like you probably have respect for these guys when you see them. You know,
Yeah.
the live shows was perfectly tight, dude, and I mean like 100% perfect. And we were talking about how amazing Wes Hauck is, and that these guys came up and were playing guitar. Granted, Archspire guys, same thing.
Yep.
But with Aborted, it was like I kind of forgot how fucking crazy their guitar shit is, and their how
Hmm.
good their solos are
And they're
on this
fast.
record. Yeah, on this record, the last song or not the last song on there. Which one was it? The Shape of Hate. There's
Okay.
it has that long ass guitar solo at the end, and just absolutely fucking nuts. But every note that they played on Saturday was fucking perfect. And if it wasn't, they're playing so fucking fast. I don't think anyone would notice, and they can correct so fast if that's the case. My review of it was 100% perfect. Made me go back and listen to this record again Sunday and all day today. Another one on there, Insect Politics with the dude from Ingested on it.
Yeah.
just a fucking slammer, dude. Every song is, but that's definitely one of my like go-to heavy ones. And then I brought up the one with Death Cult with Despised Icon.
Yep.
That song, I initially thought I was listening to it all the time because I love the singer from Despised Icon. He's one of those tough guys that like when you hear him, you want to fucking fight somebody. Um, and I realized like he sounds so tough, like, in the songs, but he's like French Canadian. So I'm sure he's got some like goofy accent or whatever. Like, I'm
Oh
not sure
yeah.
how tough he sounds like when he's talking to you, but if he's yelling his fucking vocals at you, you're fucking scared, you know?
Yeah, Alex is like he's like a short, skinny guy. He's like me and you, man.
Yeah, which
He's
is
not a
it.
tough guy at all.
Exactly. It's fucking insane, dude. How does he do that? But that being said, when he wasn't there to do it live, and the vocalist for Aborted did it, uh, dude, I mean, again, no drop off. I had the same exact feeling that I got from that part when I was listening to the guy
Damn,
from Despise doing it.
that's badass. Knowing that he can like hit that range too, man, and he just
Yeah,
doesn't
dude.
show it off.
And an incredible showman. I mean, like, he was running back and forth on the stage, going crazy, great moves on stage, great like engagement with the crowd. Um, Can't say enough good things about that band, especially after watching them on Saturday. And I've seen them before, but this
Yeah,
time I think and I think it's this record that like made me really care about them more. Like I enjoyed their other stuff. Uh, I don't know, when this one came out, it grabbed me so much that seeing the shit live and even seeing them play the older shit live, I was extremely impressed.
yeah. I haven't seen them since 2009, I think.
Oh shit,
So
yeah, that's a
yeah,
long
it's
time
been a
ago.
while for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
but if I would have known about that show, I probably would have went.
Dude, yeah. Well, I almost hit you up, and it was kind of like too late. It was like I was thinking about this podcast, and I was like, shit, I need
Mhm.
to hit up Dustin and see if he's going. And then I was like, whatever. If he's going, I'll see him in 2 hours or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Usually, if I'm like in the area, I'll hit people up, but
Right. I
it's
figured.
hard to get down there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of both of our lists there. Funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
my next one is Darkthrone. It beckons us all.
Hell yeah. I haven't
Um,
listened to it, but I do like Dark Throne.
this is another band that's like just been on this weird tear for the past like 3 or 4 records they put it since Arctic Thunder, man. They've just been like
Yep.
hit, and it's like,
Hell yeah.
where's this coming from? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, and not only that, the band's sound has changed so much since the early days of that like raw black metal shit that they used to do. That like literally just kind of playing like Motorhead songs with black metal
Right.
influence, but it just fucking rules. I don't know how.
Yeah. No, it's sick.
Like the riffs are, I mean, ugh, ugh.
Yeah, it gives you it tickles that old school like just dark but old school riffage.
Yeah, I mean it's fucking crazy, man. Like back I think it was like 2018 when Hardship of the Scots came out.
Hmm.
Man, I learned how to play that title track, and like that's what I would warm up and play with all the time. Just that
Hell yeah.
I mean, just that riff was so fun and like smooth to play for me that I was
That's what I
just
was about
like
to say. That yeah, their
mm,
riffs are usually really
bread and
fun.
butter.
Yeah, dude. Nah, great one. Great choice. I do need to check out that record for sure. And let me go ahead and put that one down.
It's good. I
Good
mean,
stuff.
like I said, they're not like pure black metal anymore, that's fine. I mean, nobody really cares about that shit anymore. Like
Yeah, it's hard for me
they're
to
just
listen to
one
that
of
for too long
those.
these days. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they're just one of those bands that like kind of find a real like they realize like okay, we can't do this forever. Like we'll just play
Right.
old school death black thrash metal. Like that's just what we want to do. And I'm like, yeah, fucking go for it.
You got to evolve, man. Yeah, and they evolved into a direction that they seemed really comfortable with.
Yeah.
And still
Yep. So
staying true
that's
to their roots. It's still black
yeah,
metal.
100%. Yeah, because it's still just Fenriz and Nocturno, aka Ted.
Nice.
I found out that's his real name. Yeah,
Nice.
so it's just those two dudes still, which is fucking crazy. It's just like just writing that kind of music. But
Right, right.
yeah, so that's my next one. What do you got?
So I'm out of great ones that are out now. I do
God damn.
have
I
some
still got like
yeah.
6
Oh shit.
left.
Well, take a couple, man. Take a
All right,
couple
I'll go
and
through these
yeah.
like so Darkest Hour, Perpetual Terminal.
Oh, that's one I forgot about. All right, go for it, dude. Talk
I
about
mean,
it.
dude, probably the best record they've done. I mean, shit. and another band that's just been like killing it for the
Yeah.
past few records.
Yep.
Them getting Nico from Fallujah was probably like
Yep.
the best thing they could have done.
Yep.
I mean,
Hell
those
yeah.
guitar solos and leads in this thing, the best they've had since probably what's the record that has demons on it?
Man, that fuck, that's my
It's
favorite
an old
record from them, and
yeah, it's from
I
like
forget.
2011.
It's the
But
one after Undoing Ruin.
yeah,
Motherfucker. All right, I'm looking it up.
yeah.
A lot of editing work
Anyways,
for you, pal.
nah, we're good. We're good.
That was Deliver Us.
Yeah. So probably the best lead since that record. Not to say that
Yep.
there have been like shitty ones, but man,
No,
Nico
they definitely
brings
haven't.
something to this band that I'm just like, fuck. I was not expecting this at all. I was like expecting a Migrant Flora Part 2 or something like that. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Me
Like
too.
man. And John's vocals still on point after all these years. Like that dude
Never
has
gets
such a
old to me.
unique
Yeah.
uh so
Yeah.
that's
That first track, yeah, the title track. Great classic Darkest Hour way to open the record. And something that I noticed in the course of that song when they're kind of like arpeggiating shit and everything, they hit like one of these just like random like minor chords that you don't really expect when they play the riff a second time.
Mhm.
It really like perks my ears up. And it made me keep going back and listen to this because at first listen, if you're a Darkest Hour fan, you're like me, where it's like you listen to 3 or 4 of their albums all the time for years and years and years. And then when they put out something new, you kind of like goes in one ear and out the other. You're like, sounds like
Yeah.
Darkest Hour. I'm gonna go back and listen to Undoing Ruin or Deliver Us. Um, but no, this one I kept going back to, and it wasn't one that I was talking to people about or anything. It was just, hey, Darkest Hour, and then next thing you know, every time I'm working out in the garage or something, like I was listening to this one. Uh, absolute and a surprise to me. I didn't think that
Yeah.
was gonna happen.
Same man. I was in the same boat and I was just like, well, yeah, it's we'll see what's up, but I don't know if it's a song for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the Liam. The guitar solo in that song is just like
I think you're right.
mind
Yeah.
blowing. Like
Yeah,
not
dude.
expected at all. Ugh.
Yeah, that's one I want to get a guitar book for whenever that comes out. Hopefully they put out like an official one because I definitely
Yeah.
would like to learn a lot of shit on that record.
Let's see another one here. This was kind of like a weird I mean not last minute, but like I don't know if I'm supposed to admit this on a metal podcast. I'm kind of into this band called Era.
Oh, hey man, yeah, sure. I was gonna talk about that one as
Dude.
an honorable mention for me, but
Uh
go on, man. Go off, King.
so so when their 2016 album came out, I was like, this fucking rules.
You
Like
talking about
this I
Drift?
yeah.
Yeah, same
And
here. That's the one
so
that really fucking glued me in.
yeah, like that album's so good. And like the ones after that were fine, and I was just kind of like, this is whatever. But like this it came out and I listened to it like once or twice and I was like, damn, yeah, it's pretty badass. And then like I went back a week ago or whatever when we were talking about doing this, and I was like, fuck, this album kind of rules. Like, and I've been
I
listening
was
to it
thinking
like all
about, yeah.
week.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I've stated this on the podcast so many times. I'm not the world's biggest fan of clean singing and music, but like it
Right.
fucking works, and I'm down for whatever they're doing. I know it's a little bit of like a cliche and like generic answer for this band, but yeah, it sounds good, man. Um I dig what they're doing, so
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be listening to it a lot more throughout the year. I know that.
Yeah. So like you were saying, 2016 Drift was, I could not stop putting on that album that summer when that
All the
came out.
time.
And my wife's huge into them, and she's kind of stuck with them this whole way. And I did like their last one, their self-titled record. There was a lot of good shit on there too. But I kind of just got this fatigue from them,
Yeah,
and they're a band that's touring all the time, and like we were going to see them, every time they came through, and it would be like every 3 months, you know. And they're from
that's a
Alabama,
lot.
so they're not far from Atlanta. So I think they would always like to hit our town, and so then I kind of just like when they were putting this out, I just didn't care.
Hmm.
But I will say all the singles that they released, and I listened to the first half of the record multiple times, like, and I haven't put like a deep dive into it. But there's one I was going to bring up as an honorable mention because their style, it's morphing. I felt
Yep.
like they were putting out the same shit for a little bit, but the stuff on the new one, it's like, okay, they've got new tricks up their sleeve. Same old great songs, great band. But I felt like there was a maturity to it that the last two and I wouldn't say they were lacking,
Sure.
but it's definitely growing, you know, like this one is the most mature one so far.
Yeah, and I think the production on this one is the best they've
That
had.
too.
It's
Yeah. And it's been good for a
insane.
while.
Yeah.
But this, yeah, it's definitely the best.
Let's see here. I'll just kind of run through my top ones and then we'll get to our honorable mentions because it'll be the same thing. I'm just going to run through those.
Yep.
So here's another band that like I was not really a fan of until their newest record, and I gave them another chance. Enterprise Earth, Death,
Okay.
the
Great
anthology,
one.
or Death and Anthology. Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
man. Uh, Jesus Christ, this band really like I don't know what they did, but like somehow they made like a better record than anything I'd listened to before them. And I this in a derogatory way, but they were just kind of like middle of the road, like deathcore to me. Like nothing
That's how I felt too.
special,
Yeah.
nothing like they're good, but it's just not something I really want to listen to. And then like I checked out the first couple singles and I was like, damn, this is actually pretty legit. And then like fuck man, I forget what song that did it. It was just like, yeah, Accelerated Demise.
Yep.
Fucking I mean, and it Wes is on one of the songs on the record,
I
Malevolent
was about to
Force.
say that's what drew me
Yeah,
to check this one out. And kind of like you, it's like this is the first time that they caught my attention. You know,
yeah,
one that I've definitely when we do a part two of this at the end of the year or whatever,
yeah.
I have a feeling we'll be talking about it now that you brought that one up because it's one that I forgot about that I really need to devote the time to.
Yeah. This is one I still listen to, man. Like you talk about working out and listening to music. This is
Yeah.
my first like I'm getting ready to go like
Fuck yeah.
kind of
There you
record
go.
because man,
Yeah,
it's
man.
it's fucking good and the thing on it. And one of my favorite things they did, it might even be an Accelerated Demise. They do like this fucking callback to or like I don't know if the callback is the right word, but like homage to Van Halen's oh fuck, what song is it? It's a very well known song. I don't know why I'm now, but like they play the fucking like lead from that Van Halen song going
What?
in like as like an outro, but then they kind of like do their own thing on top of it.
I
I
fucking
was
love
like,
when people do that shit. Yeah.
oh man, it was so beautiful. Uh
Nice.
man, it was good. I was like, damn it. That's
Hell yeah.
yep, that's it. Let's see. My next one, Vitriol. I mean, Suffer and Become is like one of the best death metal band or records out. I mean, in that band. Um, Chaos and Carnage a couple months ago, and like they fucking played the one song I thought that they would not play like at all. I was like, "There's no we're gonna play this. It's got like clean guitar tone. Like, get the fuck out of here." And they played Survival's Careening Inertia, just like that
Nice.
whole intro where it's just all clean guitar, and then they go into like the crazy
I know what
death
you're
metal
talking about.
shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they're a band that I didn't know anything about until a couple weeks ago. So Chaos and Carnage went to your town, but
yeah,
didn't come to Atlanta this year. But on one of their off days, probably the night before you saw them or the night
it
after you
was.
saw them, yeah. Rivers of Nile did a headliner with Vitriol and Face Yourself, and so when Vitriol came up and they came out with their badass guitars, dude. I know we were talking about them at the beginning of the show, but like
Yeah.
dude, his Xiphos that he's got is
Mm.
so fucking cool, dude. With the gold hardware and stuff. So as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh yeah, we're about to see some fucking riffs. Like about to scratch that itch. And sure enough, dude, they fucking shredded our asses away. Um, that's a band that, you know, I kind of like, hey, if they're good, I'll buy a shirt. You know, I kind of already when they came out, I was like, this looks like something I'd like. And what I'd heard, like just a quick listen, like on the way there, I was like, all right, I'm down, check the shit out. They blew me away. They were fucking badass.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. Like they're a whole nother level of like death metal chaos. It's just like you got to really pay attention to what they're playing.
Yeah,
And I was really glad they had that second guitar player on tour too, because I was really worried about like because I know Kyle records everything, as
right.
far as I know, or writes everything, but like I was like,
He seems like
man,
he's the main guy.
if they do one guitar player, that's gonna be rough. So I was
Yeah,
glad second dude. And it man, it sounded great. Sounded great.
yeah,
That
killed it.
that
And
album's
then
incredible.
yeah, and then live, you know, bass player doing vocals too. So they
Hmm.
split the guitar player and the bass player, and both of them fucking sound great
Yeah. Yeah. They
while doing crazy shit. You
God,
know,
man. Uh, yeah, that dude's just he has such a unique style, and like I appreciate that. Goes a long way for me, honestly, is like
Hell
seeing
yeah.
somebody that's like really doing something like that.
Hmm.
Let's see. Okay, my last one here, my number one. This has some people, and again, this is a band that I was not into at all before this record. Boundaries. Death is a little more
Dude, okay, I fucked up.
non-stop.
That's on my thing. I
Okay,
totally skipped over that. Yeah, because I didn't want to say it at the beginning and I didn't want to say it last, and I just completely fucking forgot about it. I'm glad you
yeah,
brought that up, dude. Yeah, go off,
I've been
man.
listening to stop. Like I don't know what it is, but I just keep coming back to it. It's such a good fucking record. I was never into them before this. I was like, yeah, they're fine, like whatever. But man, something just hit me with this record, and like everything on it, like just the production, the songwriting, the fucking lyrics. I was just like, this is what I'm looking for right now.
And then here's a band that busts out the clean singing that would turn a lot of
Right,
people off because I hear it and I'm like, God, I'm annoyed that I like this so much. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, because it is really fucking good, man. Yeah, the big singy single on there, easily erased.
Yeah.
Dude, if I just even think about that song, it's happening right now. That part's gonna get stuck in my head for the rest of the day. You know?
And so when I listened to it, I was expecting that. I was like, oh, okay, they're not like a clean singing band. Like I thought they were just some melodic hardcore band, metalcore, whatever.
Right.
And then when that shit hit, I was like, oh fuck me. This is like this is good. Like, why
Yeah,
would they
man.
do that out of man? Yeah, pleasantly surprised. They're playing here in August, so I'm like gonna be at that show for sure.
Nice, nice.
And yeah, I don't know, man. It's kind of yeah, this whole year so far has been like bands that I really wasn't into that I like I was just like I don't write like I said, I don't write these bands off. I just like kind of like when they put something out and see how I feel about it.
Right.
And a lot of these records were like, damn, I think I kind of finally found like something where I can like gravitate towards this band and like maybe some of their old shit and see how I feel about it now.
Hmm.
So it's been really interesting that like that's where my head's at this year so far. So those are like all my top records that I'm listening to the most. I know came out, or actually two, Ulcerate and Crypt Sermon just came out within like a week of each other. So
Nice.
they're new. Who knows? I may fall off those records when other shit comes out, but
We'll find
um,
out at the end of the year.
yeah, yeah. So so these will be quick. We'll get into some like honorable
Yeah.
mentions and just kind of like run through them. Do you want to go ahead and start with yours?
Yeah, I got one. One that you may not be thinking about. When I first heard about it, I was like, this would be kind of lame, but I put it on and it's actually really badass, dude. The new Judas Priest Invincible Shield.
Oh
Have you
yeah,
heard it?
absolutely. Yeah,
It's actually
it's
pretty
wild.
sick. Yeah, like the guitar playing is really cool. I mean, it's not it's not exactly something you wouldn't expect them to play, but you wouldn't expect them to play it like that good in 2024 as far as like songwriting and being interesting to a metal listener like me that listens to all this crazy shit all the time, but it's honestly like it reminds me a lot of the new Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the way they go with the arpeggiated leads and they harmonize them and stuff. And that's all shit that I love having in music. And they do all of that. And you've got legendary Rob Halford fucking being himself the whole time, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean for the band being around 50 years at this point, I
Yeah.
mean, what the fuck? And they're
Yeah. I didn't think they were going to put out
still
something I liked, like
right,
at this point.
still just killing it. And I mean,
Yep.
yeah, I wasn't expecting that either when that first track came out. I was like, "Oh my God, this like runs circles around most bands that are out right now."
Yeah. For real. For real. If they're playing, if I went and saw them and they were going to, and I knew they were going to play like, 2 or 3 songs from that record, I would be fucking stoked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yep.
Let's see. One of mine is it just came out, so I haven't really had time to like really get into it. So I'm not. That's why it wasn't like on my main list. But Umbra Vitae, of Death. It's kind of like a supergroup band. It's got Guy from the Red, or not Guy, Mike from the Red Chord,
Hmm.
Jacob Bannon from Converge, one of the dudes from Hatebreed, I believe.
Damn. Stacked.
And like, yeah, it's like all these like Massachusetts hardcore dudes, and like Mike McKenzie is one of those guys that like has such a unique guitar playing style, but like whatever they're doing, it's great. And then there's moments where you can be like, oh yeah, that's like a classic Mike McKenzie, like chunky ass fucking riff. But then there's some stuff that they write, and it's like, okay, I can see this being like an original, like this fits this band
Hmm.
kind of deal. And like, Jacob's vocals don't really sound like what he does on Converge. Like there's still like that kind of like mid to high pitch like raspiness, but it's more focused and you can understand what he's saying more than Converge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
So that's one of mine.
Go for another one because I'm actually,
Okay. The
yeah.
new Ashan record.
Uh, that's one that a friend of mine told me to check out, and I did listen to a little bit of it, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, dude's a fucking, again, another incredible guitar player that I think's pretty underrated, and one of the guys from like the old black metal scene that just like
Hmm.
got too technical for that genre and was like,
Yep.
fuck it, I'm just gonna do my own shit. And the best thing about this album is the whatever the first single was they did,
Hmm.
breakdown with a fucking symphony. Like the symphony goes
Yeah,
in and
dude.
plays the breakdown. What the fuck? It
Yeah,
sounds
dude. That's
so rad, dude.
nah, he's the
Brilliant.
shit. He's
Yeah.
he's the shit. Take another one. Yeah, I don't for
Okay.
some reason I didn't I can't find any of my honorable mentions, but
I have a big
that's all
list, I'm
right.
not gonna lie.
That's all right, man. Yeah, keep going. Just yeah,
Let's
rattle them off.
see.
You're good. And we'll
Okay,
talk
so
about
here's
singles and
one I
shit
felt
after.
weird about. Technically I would put this record on my best of list, but I feel it's a little bit of favoritism because I had them on the podcast.
Sure.
Replicant, Infinite Mortality.
Hmm.
Dude, that record and I mean it's just that cavernous, technical, dissonant death metal shit that I fucking love. And I've been waiting for this record to come out for so long.
Hell yeah.
Um, and like, yeah, I feel weird, like, not really having any objectiveness towards it, because it's like, yeah, I had him on the podcast, but the
Yeah, so
record's
what?
fucking good, man.
Yeah, if it's undeniable, dude, none of that shit matters.
So, I don't want to like play favorites, but damn it, it's good. I still listen to it
Nice.
quite a bit since it came out. It's fucking heavy. It's
Nice.
real heavy.
Nice. All right, keep going. I'm out.
Okay.
Until we get to singles that are out, which we'll blast through,
Okay.
but
Yeah, yeah.
things to look forward to.
All right. Yeah, I'll just run through the rest of these. Blood Red, Nonagon, great technical death metal record. Oubliette, Eternity Whispers. They're like blackened death metal bands, sort of. They're on like the Artesian era, like all those like awesome fucking bands that do all that like In Fury, like all that technical shit.
Sure.
Um, and then an EP, their Lingua Ignota Part One EP. They're like a technical power metal death metal band. I don't know how to like really even describe them, man, but they're fucking good.
Yeah, sounds
Um,
fucking awesome.
and I hate power metal. Like it's the thing I hate the most as far as like
I have
music
a
is concerned.
few that I like,
Yeah,
but yeah, not typically a genre that I'm going to see like a full lineup for, you know what I mean?
yeah. But man, whatever these guys do, the way they kind of like meld all that genre in there, but still have like that kind of not, actually wouldn't even call it operatic. I don't know, just like it's clean vocals. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah, well, it's
Um,
power battle, dude.
God damn, they're so good. And then my last one for honorable mentions is Castle Rat Into the Realm. They're just like an old school like doom metal band, like that
Sure.
70s fucking just Black Sabbath worship. But they have such a cool shtick that I think kind of makes up for like they all dress up in like medieval garb, and
Ah, okay. One of
it
those.
just it adds to, and the name of the band Castle Rat, and like
Gotta be,
everything they
yeah.
do kind of just like plays into all the stuff, so it gives the music an added like, okay, it's a whole like story and like show. So
Hey,
I don't
dude, I
know.
dig shit like that. It's the Renaissance fair for doom metal.
Yeah, yeah. And so like the record's pretty fun. So like I put it on every now and then. I'm like, yeah, all right, it's cool. I get
Nice,
into this.
nice.
So it's on my honorable mentions.
Yep. All right. Yeah, go ahead. Lead us to the next one, I guess. Or the next thing.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, man, I just got stuff that we're kind of looking forward to for the rest of the year because we got 6 more months to go. There's already like bands that put out singles and like, man, yeah, the fact that we only have 6 more months of the year is kind of crazy. But I
It
know
is.
that we're gonna get some more good shit, and I think
Yeah, we've already
October
got
is gonna go ahead.
October's gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna start with New Entheos singles. Have you
Oh
listened to
yeah,
those?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I have.
they're a band that like whenever they put out a new song, I'm always like, no, it's okay. I'll go listen to Dark Future again, you know.
Yeah,
But then I always come back. Like the last record that came out, shit, like a year ago, right?
yeah. I think so. They put out stuff pretty quick, man.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that it was 2022. But yeah, like that one at first I was like, yeah, it's pretty good, you know, but it just makes me want to listen to older shit. Wrong, you know. I come back, I listen to that one all the time. When I heard the two new singles, you know, I know that Cheney's like singing now, and at first I was like, I didn't really love her singing on Into the Void on the last record. I just didn't like the part. I didn't like it wasn't that I didn't like her singing. But the shit that she's doing now and the parts that she's writing for these new singles, I almost can't imagine them not going to that. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So the record you're talking about definitely came out last year, man.
Yeah.
So
So I
it's
don't know for
pretty quick
sure
turnaround.
if they're coming out with a new one this year, but they're definitely gearing up for something. I
Yeah.
don't think that they're just putting out shit to be relevant. And if you know anything about Naveen Copperweiss, he is a writing machine.
Yep.
I'm sure he's got 10 other demos that he's sitting on right now. And who knows how many like almost finished songs or finished songs he's sitting on. So I would expect to see something out of them soon, as fast as that seems.
Yeah. Fred actually introduced me to them. Well, I already knew Naveen from like touring with him. Cheney was there because they're married now.
Right.
But yeah, I got to talk to him for a little bit, and like, yeah, it seems like they're just like, that's all they're doing is like after the wedding, they were just going to start working on stuff. As far as I know, I don't know if it's going to come out this year, but you know, the
I
fact that
don't
they're
either,
like
but
doing shit.
I think they could do it, you know,
Yeah.
with as fast as they work and the quality of shit they put out. And like I said, you know, the amount of stuff that Naveen's able to work on at one time. And sometimes it's even like playing with other bands, you know? Yeah, like he's insane. One of the best in the business. You want to take another one or you want me to throw in another one?
Yeah, my looking forward to is pretty small. It's the one. So the
Yeah, mine
first
too.
one, I mean, dude, those new Flesh God Apocalypse songs.
Oh hell yeah. Yep.
Jesus
Those are fucking
Christ.
badass. A
Yeah,
band that I
yeah.
didn't listen to for a while until these new ones came out. You know, I hadn't listened to them in probably like 7 or 8 years.
Damn. Oh
Yeah.
man.
I've missed a lot of their
Yeah.
shit, but I definitely need to dive back into it. They were a band I was big into 10 years ago,
Yeah, I
but
think
caught my attention again.
this might be the best record that they've ever done. The way it's getting up, and that's saying a lot because man, their last one was pretty damn good. And then the one before that, the one before that. And
Right, right.
another side, man, they man, I have to look it up. They did one of the sickest fucking covers of I want to say an At the Gate song, but that could be wrong. Yeah, they did a cover of Heartwork by Carcass,
Oh, fuck yeah.
and
That's
it
awesome.
rules. It rules. And I'm like really hit or miss on covers, but man, they nailed that one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that record.
Hell yeah. All right. What else we got? I'm gonna save the big one for last, that I
Okay.
want to talk about. Let's talk about the new As I Lay Dying single.
Mm.
Do you listen to it?
I got nothing to say about that band.
I got
Not
you. Well, I listened
not
to it and I wasn't extremely pleased, but I am interested in like what they're gonna keep going, especially now that Tim Line Beasis is the only like original member left, you know?
Bill's still in the band too.
Oh, okay. But I know that like now that they have like a new singer and like clean singer, and I know
Yeah.
Ken Susi from Unearth is playing with them now, which I kind of would rather him be with Unearth, but still
Yep.
whatever, man. I'm glad he's out working.
Which is crazy because that Unearth record that came out last year was fucking incredible. So
I
it's
know.
like, what's going on with that? You know?
I don't know, dude. Yeah. I guess they got another guy that they're touring with right now because I know that they played because I guess Ken's been away from the band for like over a year now.
Damn.
But and I know they played Furnace Fest last year. I'm pretty sure I saw them with another guy, but which kind of sucks, man. Like I want to see Buzz and Ken together, you know.
I know. They have a good chemistry, man.
They do. They do. And then how about the new All That Remains? Have you listened to any of those two singles?
Fuck, dude, I haven't actually. I kept putting it off, and I was like, yeah, I gotta listen to this, and then just like I never did. But my buddy listened to it, and he was telling me he was like, yeah, I think Jason Richardson, like, you know, it sucks all he's gone, obviously, but what
Yeah.
Jason's bringing to the band is fucking insane.
Yeah, and it's like at first listen on the first single that they put out, and they just put out another one, I think last week that I haven't checked out yet. I
Mhm.
think it's a slower one, but I could be wrong. Again, I haven't listened to it, but the first one that came out, it was like I felt like Jason was too much for this band, you know. But then as I heard it a couple more times, it's like because he's doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
He's doing his stuff, you know, and it's all over that the All That Remains song, you know, which
Damn.
sounds like a good like All That Remains song. But as I got to listen to it, and I started thinking like, you know, why not let him be himself? Like he doesn't have to be Ollie. You know, of
Right.
course, I love listening to Fall of Ideals and This Darkened Heart and shit like that. You know, and I love Ollie as a guitar player, one of my favorites all time as far as soloing go. But he goes, Jason goes wild on this. I mean, absolutely wild. At first, it's a little like, whoa, I didn't, you know, this ain't fucking Dragon Force, you know. But
Damn.
no, dude, it kind of is growing on me. Like, I'm interested to see like what else when they do the full record. Like, they're gonna really let him loose at some point on this record, and there's gonna be
I,
a big, you know, huge giant guitar solo that's you know gonna fucking rip your head off.
yeah, I can imagine. He's one of those guitar players that like you can't make him write like somebody else. He could. He if he wanted to, he absolutely could write in Ollie style. That's
Yeah,
but I,
I'm
I
sure you
think
could.
they were like, if I had to guess without talking to him, it's just hypothetical. They probably had to weigh that of like, yeah, do we keep writing like we've been writing, or do we just let this monster do what he's gonna do? And you know, you gotta
Yeah,
let
yeah.
the guitar play.
Yeah, and it's like the way I started looking at it is like if you're gonna have Jason Richardson in your band, you've like why hold him back?
Right.
Nobody
Yep.
else can do that. Like, and he's in your band, like, okay, let him take you to the next level and nobody can fucking touch you as far as
That's
guitar
true,
playing
man.
goes, you know?
He could be in any band he wanted to. So that I think that
Absolutely.
says a lot that he like, yeah, fuck it, I'll write all the Remains record.
Yeah, and you know, and do it as crazy as I possibly can, you know, like
Yep.
no who's gonna replace him if he
Yeah,
ever leaves?
nobody.
They're fucked.
Let's see here. So another one I'm looking forward to. This is a band that's kind of like a more underground band. They're called this is the other thing. They're like three or four different bands with this fucking name, unfortunately, but they're called Teeth. They're like a
Oh, that's a cool name.
cavernous like death metal band. They put out a record in 2019 and it's fucking awesome. They're like well they okay, so they have a member that used to be in this band, but he didn't write on any of the records that I'm talking about. But this band called Our Place of Worship is Silence. I know the name
Hmm.
sounds stupid and long, but the band's fucking heavy and they're great.
Hell yeah.
Um, and the guitar player in this band produced and recorded the Our Place of Worship is Silent record. So there's like a little bit of overlap. In
Sure.
terms, they all know they all sort of style of like that cavernous death metal, but
Hmm.
man, they're fucking real heavy and like they just play these crazy ass chunky dissonant death metal riffs that I'm just like all about where it's
Fuck
just like you
yeah.
just want to fucking
Hell
you
yeah.
know so I'm really that comes out in August. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm
Nice.
trying to see if I can get them on the podcast. We'll see if that works out.
Hell yeah, dude. Go for it. All right. My next one, I'm gonna say, and this is my favorite band, Rivers of Nile. Have you listened to any of their new stuff? They
Yeah.
had a new single so far, Criminals. Um, I fucking love. Cool thing about this band is they've yet to come out with a full record since they parted ways with their old vocalist.
Yeah,
So it's
no.
like any of your full length stuff that you listen from them isn't necessarily what they sound like now, but when you go see them live, they're playing all their old stuff, and Biggs, their bassist, is taking over vocals, and man, he's fucking owning it.
Yeah, dude, they sounded great.
Yeah,
I was so fucking surprised. Did they have the saxophone player when you saw them?
yes, they did. Yep,
Dude,
yep.
I was so worried that they were going to backing track that fucking saxophone, and that
I've
dude
seen them
came
do that
out and
before.
shredded it, and I was like, "Fuck yes, I'm all
Yeah,
about
he
some
kicked ass.
saxophone."
Me too, and they're a band that just does it flawlessly. And I kind of wonder, like, they haven't had any sax on any of the new singles, and I wonder if it's something that they're going to try and get away from, you
Hmm.
know, because they don't have like a full time band member sax player. Now they've had a couple guys like that they'll book for tours that they're friends with. I think the guy that you saw, he plays with that band Cyborg Octopus.
Yeah,
But you know, they're not always going to have that, but having that, um, and hearing it live, like they sound perfect. And I'll say about Biggs, their bassist taking over the vocals. Um, I love his sound. Like he's just a nastier, death metal guy.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
and he sounds great. The rest of the band does vocals as well, or at least the drummer and the guitar player do, as far as the cleans go, and they harmonize each other, and they never sound like it's always like epic metal when it's happening.
They got they player from Black Crown Initiate, the
Yep.
big
Andy
bald
Thomas.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. Yeah, he he fucked with me pretty hard at the show when I saw them. And like me and Fred were talking and something came up and I forget what happened, but it gave me like a little mini panic attack because he like what the fuck happened? It was what? Oh yeah, so I knew he was in Rivers of Nile, right? And
Right.
we were just kind of talking and Fred was like, "Hey, this is so and so from Rivers, and Dustin, blah blah," doing introductions and all that shit. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey man, yeah, I know Brody. He was on my podcast a long time ago." And he's like, "Who the fuck is Brody?"
Oh
And
my God.
I was like,
You're like, wait, did I mix that up?
"Yeah," because I'd been meeting so many people that day, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this guy's in Rivers of Nile, like, what fucking with me?" And like, I immediate panic attack of like, "Oh God, did I just like fuck up and like this isn't the right dude?" And then like he's like cracked a smile and he was like, "No, I'm just kidding. Like I'm a Rivers
Ah,
now." I was like, "God damn,
nice,
dude, you like
nice,
gave me a panic attack."
nice.
Social situations like that are so fucking rough.
Oh, I know what you mean, dude. Yeah, especially when someone's fucking with you, and it's like
Right.
it's someone that you're expecting a cool reaction, or you want a cool reaction so bad, and then you're like, oh no, I just made myself look like a fucking idiot, you
I'm
know?
the asshole. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I actually met Andy for the first time on that one-off show that they did. I guess again, like the night before, I think that
Yeah, it
you
was
met him
definitely
or
the night
whatever.
before. Yep.
But he was just there hanging out. We were there buying merch at the end of the show, and he just came out and was chatting with me and my wife and my sister-in-law. And super cool, dude.
Yeah, he was really nice after that. But then that's when you kind of figure out that that's his sense of humor. He's just got that
Yeah,
dry, fuck with you like sense of humor, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
I see what we're doing here. So
right,
yeah,
right.
that was cool. I appreciate it.
Yep,
Can't be all serious all the time.
yeah, that's funny. All right, you got one?
Yeah, so another death metal album I'm looking forward to is 200 Stab Wounds. I think it's called Manual Manic Procedures is a new record.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out in like next month or something like that. I'm a sucker for death metal. I mean, like
Hey, dude, I'm here
especially
for
that
it.
old chunky. I don't know. This band also like does that thing where like they're playing that old school style of death metal, but they don't necessarily sound like any particular. They're not like aping off of like a Morbid Angel or whatever. Like they just kind
Sure.
of sound like their own thing. And I was like, fuck, this kind of rules.
Hell yeah.
So looking forward to that one.
Nice. I've got one left, and I don't know if
Perfect.
you want to hit it. Okay, we good?
Yeah, I
Uh,
got one left too, so this is good.
okay, hopefully it's the same one. Black Dahlia Murder is back.
Oh nope, that's not
Aftermath.
mine.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, they're back. And
Yes.
dude, when I first heard the song, everybody's thinking the same thing. What are these vocals going to sound like?
Right.
And how does he sound like Trevor? That's insane. Like he sounds, and it ain't Trevor, but
Sure.
dude, like when I heard it, it was immediately like, yep, Black Dahlia, baby. Like just brand new Black Dahlia. And the way that they've gone about their situation, their tragic situation um, is amazing how it's worked out. Like having a founding member move off of guitar and go do the vocals and do it that well.
Hmm.
And then, the rest of the band's intact and they bring back another guitar player who played with them for years who is just as good as the guy that replaced him when he left.
Right. Yeah, Ryan Knight was my favorite guitar player they ever had.
Me
Like
too.
that
Exactly. When
Ritual
when I heard
album.
he was coming back, I was like, okay, well, something good is coming out of this, as
Right.
terrible as their situation is again. Rest in peace, Trevor. But
Yeah.
Ryan being back with them and them keeping Brandon Ellis, like, can you imagine what the solo sections are gonna sound like on this thing? It's gonna be fucking insane.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a weird one for me. It's not that I'm not looking forward to it. It's just I still have too much hesitancy over Trevor not being in the band. Because
I
I've
want it to
heard.
succeed though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Like I don't want it to fail. Like that's not what I'm like saying here. But I watched
Right.
some of those early live videos when Brian took over on vocals and like I hate to say it, but it was not good.
It
I
scared me too, man. That's why it's the
yeah.
first thing I was listening for, you know. And I'm
But
gonna see them live when they come through.
the recording is a different story. He sounded
Right.
pretty damn good on that recording. And I was like, okay. And I know you can do tricks in editing and recording, so like who knows. But I haven't seen him live. I haven't watched any videos since then, and I'm not, hating on Brian. I agree with you, man. Like when stepping up like this, like that's what Trevor would
Yeah,
have. That's the bottom line here.
absolutely.
So I
And
respect
who
that
who was
like a
gonna
ton.
replace him if not his best friend who wrote
Nobody.
these songs with him? You know what I mean? Like it feels right. And to your point about the vocals, I heard those too, and I was like, okay, he's trying to do it, but it doesn't
Yeah,
exactly sound great, you know.
a
Um,
little jarring for sure.
Yeah, but I'll say this about back to Rivers of Nile. Like when
Mhm.
their bass player took over to do vocals, I saw them on the tour when they made the switch. Like they had made the
Oh
switch
shit.
like the week before. I think they had been playing instrumental, playing the whole album of the work, supporting Contortionist. And when I showed up, like nobody knew that had happened. So when they came out and said that the vocalist wasn't there and they were going to play the album anyway, I was like, man, well, this sucks. And we kind of had that thing the whole night where it's like, okay, he's doing it, but it's not what the band was when we saw them 6 months ago. But
Yeah.
now, when you go see them, Biggs has fully transformed into the vocalist. He's got the techniques down. He knows how to have the endurance to be the lead vocalist for the whole show.
Hmm.
I could see, and at least I'm hoping that Brian's probably evolving the same way. There's for him to just move over to vocals and probably just decided like a month or two before that he was going to do it versus going and doing a whole album as the vocalist and then probably going out and being a headliner and doing it, for months. I imagine he's going to get good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, the learning curve, like, you know, but it can be a vocalist. I don't think that's necessarily true, especially in metal. Like you have to like really
Totally.
train your vocals, otherwise you're gonna fuck them up.
Right.
Look at all the like the Jesse Leges and Matt Hafees and
Yep.
dude from Avenged Sevenfold that blew out their fucking voices. I think
Yep.
even Phil did it happen? No, Phil's was fine. But yeah, it's a delicate instrument just like anything else. So
Right.
there's a learning curve. Those first, which that's what sucks is that was like everybody's initial like intro to what was going on happened to be those stupid live videos, and I
Right.
kind of hate that.
I do too.
But like I said, at the end of the day, man, that's what Trevor would have wanted. He wouldn't have
Yep.
wanted this to fucking end. I mean, speculate.
Right.
Shit still sucks that he's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
ugh,
Definitely truly an all-time great.
yeah,
Um, you know, that we got to experience and come up and he's kind of led the way the whole time, until it ended.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That band's legendary too. I mean,
Yep.
they I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, kind of having a little bit of a memory worm here, if I could go off on a tangent.
Go for it.
I'm almost 100% positive when I saw the music video for Contagion,
Hmm.
that's what made me want to start playing guitar.
Hell yeah. There you go.
Just that opening fucking riff, I was like, what is that? I want to learn how to do that. And then that was like one of the first songs I tried to learn how to play. Did never
Nice.
learn it, to be fair, except for that
Tried though.
opening riff. Like I know that
Sure.
opening riff like pretty good, but I can't do that fucking alternate picking shit. It's just too hard for me.
Sure. Yeah, no, that shit's tough. I think I saw today that Unhallowed came out 22 years ago today
Yeah.
as we're recording this, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. I know it
Oh,
front
it's a
to
great
back.
one.
I know all the fucking lyrics to it. Like
Hell yeah.
it's
Hell
like
yeah.
burned in my brain.
Yeah, dude. Classic. Absolute classic.
Let's see here. So my last record, man, I already know this is probably gonna be my favorite record of the year. It always is. Every time they put out a record, it's just so fucking good. But Wolfheart, they got a new
Okay.
record coming out called Draconian Darkness, and that first single they put out is already fucking stupid good. I mean,
Hell yeah.
Thomas Hockenden, I'm pretty sure I'm butchering his name. He has another band. Um, fuck, I forgot what they're called. It's like Before the something. They put out an EP earlier this year, so this dude's like always going back and forth between Wolfheart and his other Before the Dawn. That's what it's called.
There you go.
Going back and forth between these two bands, and they couldn't be more different because Before the Dawn's more like clean singing, but with like melodic death metal, and this is just melodic death metal. But the guitar writing couldn't be more different. He's like the main guy that does like um, all his shit for both those bands, and my God, since I found them in like 2018, I've just been like, yep, this band fucking rules, and they've never put out a bad album. So
Fuck yeah, dude.
very much looking forward to that. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be my favorite album of the year, probably,
Hell
if I
yeah.
had to guess.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely have to come back and revisit some of the ones that we thought were the best so far, and
Yeah.
see how they stack up at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this list so we can like compare and contrast for sure.
Yeah, I bet there's gonna be some we look back and go, oh shit, I hadn't even thought about that one, or some that like, yep, nope, it's still good.
Yeah. Well, shit, yeah, man. I'm glad we got to do this. And I'm glad I got to get you back on to do this. This has been the cool thing about like staying in touch. Having somebody like bounce this shit off back and
Yeah.
forth too. I can't imagine just me sitting looking at the camera being like, and then this record and this record. It gets.
Yeah, that would suck, man. No, and
Yeah.
this is a fun hang, and you and me are both guys that keep up with the genre and are hungry for new shit all the time. And
Oh man, all the time.
I mean, I have a bunch of friends who love metal, but like, not to name names of anybody, but some guy, Kyle and Sunmancer, who just listens to the same fucking bands all the time. It's like, dude, that there's better shit that's come out since then, or they have more records that have come out since that one that you love, but whatever works for him, I get it, but I tease him all the time.
I don't know if he is into Era, but actually when I was listening to that record, he was like the first person I thought of that I was like, dude, I think Kyle would actually fucking love this record.
It's one that he'll never check out unless you fucking push it into his face. You know what I'm saying? Like he heard Era, 10 years ago, and that's his opinion on it.
I love that. There's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that, but that's funny though.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But again, yeah, this is another podcast that manifested by us being in person saying, hey, we should do a podcast, and actually following through and doing it. Like when you hit me up after it had been a couple weeks, I was like, oh, I wonder if he still wants to do that. And then when you hit
Yeah.
me up last week, I was like, fuck yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Yeah, I always like try to give people time to get home. I know you guys were just coming off a tour, so I
Yep.
wasn't gonna like hound you like the day after and be like, hey man, let's
Right.
do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my
Yeah,
post tour depression
yeah, shit. Yeah, that's always like
sucks.
the adjustment period, man.
Yeah,
I
it
I
sucks
am
ass.
well aware of it.
Yep. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that was like the thing about like kind of wait time, and then just for people that don't know, I did finally get to see Jeremy's band live, and you guys are fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
That whole tour package was sick.
Yeah,
Fuming
dude, it
Mouth,
was
man,
a
I
great
had never
time.
seen them, and like, god damn, their guitar tone was on point.
You want to hear something funny about their guitar tone real quick?
Hmm.
Because they were the band that played after us every night. So they would sound check right before us.
Hmm.
So we'd always be in there like setting up our drum kit and kind of tuning guitars like in front of the stage while they're sound checking. And for the first couple shows, it was like he kept having this problem where the sound booth people kept saying like, "Hey man, can you turn your guitar amp down?" And he would go and like maybe turn it down a little bit, and he'd be like, "Is that good?" And they're like, "I mean, yeah, okay." And then finally, when he got it down low enough, he was never happy with his tone.
Yeah.
So there was one night where they're telling him they're telling him to turn his amp down, and I'm not certain of this, but I'm pretty fucking sure this is what he did. He goes up to his amp and like puts his hand on the knob, but he's not grabbing it. And he just like goes like this, and he comes back and he's like, "How's that?" And they're like, we're not really seeing any change on our end." And he's like, I can't go any lower than that. Like my tone comes from the volume of this amp.
Yeah.
And finally we got to like the fourth show or something, and during their sound check, he's doing the same thing. He won't turn it down. And I don't blame him, man. Like this guy's very picky about his tone. He figured out what he likes. He knows how to do it. And so finally the sound guy was just like, "What if we don't mic your amp and we just let
Mm.
you crank it as loud as you want?" And he was like, "Would that really? That'd be cool." And they're like, "Yeah, we can do that." And dude, it sounded great. So from that point on, that's what he was doing. When you saw him
Oh
at
shit.
the show that you came to, he did the same thing. And that was a huge room,
Yeah.
you know?
That's crazy. There was
Yeah.
nothing on it.
There's nothing on it, dude. No mics on it. Pretty fucking
Damn.
badass. So when I was talking to him about it, and he was saying, like I guess he had just done a tour with Cancer Bats, and Cancer Bats is almost the same setup as Fuming Mouth, where it's a vocal, a one guitar player, bass
Mhm.
player, and drummer. And they had the same guitar amp as him, and he loved their sound so much he took a picture of their amp and he was setting it up exactly like that. So when they
Oh,
tell him to fucking turn the knobs down, he's like, no, like this is what it's supposed to be, you know?
I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like you were
I don't
saying,
either.
if he's got his shit dialed in and that's how he wants it to sound, the venue shouldn't be telling him to fucking change it. Like they're not the ones playing.
Right. And one of the hardest things about like being on tour, especially as a guitar player, is like every sound guy is going to make you sound different.
Yep.
And if you can control as much as you can on your own, that's what you want to do. And he figured out a way to do that. And so finally, when they
Yeah.
started letting him do that, it started cutting through. It sounded great.
Man, that's lucky he like it's also I realized it on that tour after that one guy was like, yeah, just fucking we don't even mic it.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
weird man.
Yep.
It's fucking
And
awesome.
not every venue is probably going to let him do that, or they might just, like shrug it off, like, whatever, man. I guess you're going to sound like shit or whatever. But no, dude, that amp is loud as shit. It's the way he wants it. That's how the songs are supposed to sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. They sounded great. Everybody did.
Yep.
That
Yep.
yeah, that room's good. I was very surprised like every
Great
time I've
venue
been to
too,
that
man.
venue.
Like, the staff there
Yeah.
is super cool, man. They had the nicest green room that we saw on the tour, and plus
Wow.
that part of town's cool, man. Like, you got all the restaurants and stuff over there, like good spots to
Yep.
eat and shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everything in that area is pretty nice. If you go down a little farther and you're playing like the dingy like dive bars, then you'll be like, oh fuck, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we definitely will be coming back to Chattanooga. We're trying to this year. I think it's going to happen. We got something in the works. So we're going to do up there at least one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Justin
Should be
was telling me
sick.
a little bit about it if it ends up happening, which I hope it
Right.
does because that'd be pretty. I went to that venue that I think you guys would be playing at, so
Okay.
it's not bad. It's the sound in there is actually surprisingly good for like what it is. So that's the upside.
Nice. Nice. Fuck
Well,
yeah,
shit,
man.
yeah, man. Dude, thank you for doing this with me and let everybody know about your band. If for some reason you haven't listened to their episode yet, please do. I know the sound's a little rough on it. I fucked up with the recording and I couldn't fix it,
It's all
but I
right, dude.
promise it's a good episode.
Yeah, I didn't think the sound was that bad, but yeah, check out my band called Sunmancer. We got an EP out called Nothing Ever Happens. You can find it anywhere or Spotify, all that. And keep an eye out for new things coming out soon.